If you're a runner who somewhat takes them seriously in the sport, then you probably picked up an injury or a niggle along the way. This, unfortunately, is just how it goes as you start to identify weaknesses through trial and error in training. When it comes to injuries, in my head, there's two types. The first is one that stops you from running completely and you have to do complete rest or cross-train in the interim. Or it's an injury where you're in denial and you try to run through it and it eventually becomes the first type. You guys may remember my little shadowboxing incident back in April this year. Well, it's haunted me in the background ever since. From my DNF at the Gold Coast Marathon to just giving me grief on an easy run, let's just say that I've finally had enough and it's time to do something about it. My second type injury is slowly turning into a first type, and I'm not gonna let that happen. So what actually is the injury and how am I gonna fix it? Essentially, what happens is my knee, I think I've explained this before in previous videos, but basically once my legs get fatigued, or even sometimes when they're not fatigued, my knee on my right side just tends to slip inside, like inwards. It doesn't have any pain and doesn't leave any swelling afterwards, but it kind of just has a buckling sensation while I run, and it kind of makes me do a hop, skip and jump, and I kind of have to stop for a second, get it into position again, and then I'm good to go. But the weirdest thing was it usually would happen when I'm jogging, and it almost never happens when I'm running at the faster paces. So I think that when I'm in a full stride, my knee is just a little bit less compromised. I'm maybe using my hamstrings and my glutes a little bit more. And when I'm jogging, I'm a lot more quad dominant and it seems to slip in. So that was my self-diagnosis, but I wanted to get a professional opinion. So I went into the run clinic and I saw Darcy Dorr, the lower limb specialist, last Friday. He tested the ligaments in both of my knees and tested for any imbalances or just any weird feelings, really. After an ultrasound and a couple of tests, he came to the conclusion that my MCL was loose. And come to think of it, that probably makes the most sense as to why it was slipping, giving way, feeling unstable, but without any pain and without any inflammation or swelling afterwards. After chatting to Darcy and figuring out a plan of attack, we've come up with quite a few ways that we are gonna try to mitigate this and improve my knee and hopefully get rid of this loose ligament for good. And get me running nice and strong again. So one of the ways that we're going to tighten up the ligament, I say we, but it's gonna be Darcy and the run clinic, is we're gonna be doing a glucose injection. So it's otherwise known as a Prolotherapy, so basically, I didn't film this part because it's a bit grim and yeah, nobody likes needles or blood on YouTube. So I kept that part out. But basically, I'm just gonna read this straight off the laptop because yeah, I'm not gonna be able to remember this and I don't really understand it well enough to just say it confidently. So basically it's a regenerative treatment that uses an irritant solution to stimulate the body's natural healing process. The injection is thought to cause a temporary inflammatory response that encourages the growth of new collagen and connective tissue to strengthen the joints. Okay, so basically it promotes inflammation and healing and will tighten up the ligaments. Okay, it's really popular to get done in ankles. My good friend Tomo actually has had plenty of glucose injections in his ankle, which he did say was very painful. So when I told him that I was going in to get my own in my knee, I was expecting the absolute worst. Like I was in there, I was kind of like kissing my teeth and just trying to breathe as much as I could while watching him just dig around in my knee and inject bits of glucose all throughout. But it ended up not really hurting at all, which was great. If I could have measured my heart rate at that time, I think it would have been very high, just purely because I G'd myself up for the pain so much. But yeah, I'm really glad that it didn't actually end up hurting or being all that painful because I'm gonna have to get repeat injections over the course of the next 8 weeks. So yeah, that's a really good plus. But I'm really interested to see how this glucose injection will help tighten up the ligaments and yeah, overall improve my instability. or my stability on my knee. Another thing that we noticed was that my knee tends to slip a bit more when my quads are fatigued. And we did a couple of tests on the leg extension machine, and we've realized that my quads are lacking in strength. So some pretty low hanging fruit there, where hopefully I can just build up some strength in my quads, and then it will help just stabilize my knee a little bit more and stop my knee from caving in. He also added some inserts in my shoes just to help my knee from rolling in a little bit more. So a few different plans of attack there, and I think if we can utilize all of those at once, I'm definitely gonna see the benefits here, and hopefully we can nip this in the bud. So I had 2 days off running, and I've been running short and sweet ever since. I've actually been offloading a bit of my sessions to the cross trainer, where I jumped on the elliptical for the very first time. Let me tell you, it was sweaty. So the session that I did was 4 by 5 minutes with a 60-second standing recovery, and then I had 10 by 45 seconds on, 45 seconds off, and it was absolutely savage. I've never been on the elliptical before, and I will say, it is awesome. It actually feels fairly close to running. I had no idea about paces or anything like that, but what I did know was my heart rate. So I just based it basically off my threshold heart rate for the 5-minute reps. And I found that my heart rate was getting higher. It was a bit easier to get my heart rate up when I would use my arms as well. So I was just full body into it, absolute sweaty mess. But I actually really enjoyed it. And it got me thinking, like, you know, if it's a big week on the legs, on my knee, I would happily offload some of the stress and the pounding to the elliptical. I mean, there's a reason a lot of people opt to use that. Cross training is the GOAT if you want to keep fitness, especially while you're injured. So the fact that I enjoyed it so much, it's just, I think that's a really good thing, because if I ever do have to offload it, I'm going to be in a good space. It is so hot right now. I'm literally sweating filming. So that's just a little breakdown of what I've been doing in the last week, a little update on the injury, and I'll keep you guys posted over the next couple of weeks. All right, but I've got a few questions here that I chucked up on my Instagram story, and I thought I would just answer them here for you guys on YouTube. So the first one is from Matt Langbein, one of my athletes that I actually coach. He's been absolutely smashing it. He's been with me for probably about 6 months now. Shout out to you, mate. But your question is, I've been listening to a few different poddies, and I'm intrigued about people running and listening to music. Podcasts during training and races. Obviously, if I run in a group, I'll leave the headphones at home, but always have them on solo runs and race day. What's your preference? So if I'm running in a group, I'm the same as you, mate. I will absolutely just leave the AirPods at home. When I'm racing, I will absolutely leave the AirPods at home. I'm a firm believer in just soaking in the atmosphere and being present and just enjoying the race for the race. I'm not gonna lie, I did wear headphones for my first couple of races, even my first marathon, maybe even my sub 3 marathon, my second one. I think I may have worn AirPods, but once you do it without AirPods once, you will never go back. You get to chat to people along the way, you get to hear the crowd, you get to feel the environment, and yeah, nothing beats it. When I'm easy running by myself, I absolutely will wear AirPods. I'll absolutely listen to music. If I have new music that I've saved, which is very rare, or I'll just listen to podcasts. So some great running podcasts that I've been loving at the moment is Runners FM. We've got Never Run Alone, we've got Emotional Intelligence, we've got the Sweat Elite podcast, just to name a few. Next question is from Magic Moments Productions, an absolutely amazingly talented videographer who I think lives in Melbourne. But his question is, what is your long-term goal for the marathon? What time would you be satisfied with? So I've had a bit of time to think about this question, and I'm gonna have to say cracking 2:30. So getting to 2:29:59, that is probably my lifetime goal at this stage. You never know, as I finally, I guess, run a good marathon, which I feel like I haven't done yet. Who knows what my potential will be, what my ceiling is, but I think 2:29:59 is a pretty damn good goal. Next one's from Brian Jang. So have you tried the Adios Pro 4s compared to the Alpha Fly, considering for my upcoming Mara? So the Adios Pro 4s are definitely a smoother ride. They're definitely softer. If you were to wear them straight after each other, the Alpha Fly is gonna feel like it's on the firmer side. It's gonna feel like it slaps the ground and springs you off. It's gonna be very consistent from start to the end of the marathon. It's gonna feel exactly the same as it did at the start that it will at the end. If you're comparing to the Adios Pro 4, it's a much more smoother toe-off feeling, a rolling feeling. And I think maybe by the end of the marathon, it's a little bit less forgiving and it's maybe gonna become a little bit mushy. It really just depends if you want a little bit firmer, snappy ride, or you want that smooth roll toe-off between shoes. Both really great shoes. I will say I've never had a blister in the Alpha Fly 3. I've had plenty of blisters in the Pro 4, so yeah, my best recommendation would be to go try them both on, see if you can get on a treadmill if possible, go for a few strides and see which one works best for your foot. And last one is from Eric Lewis 91. So is going from a half to a full that difficult? Absolutely. Just like think about the last time you ran a half marathon, think about that finish line feeling. And I'm talking about a half marathon where you've really given it some. Think about that feeling, how you felt at the end. You emptied the tank. Okay, now think about that, but you've been out there for twice as long. Like, it is definitely more than twice the feat, and a lot more things can go wrong. Like, in a half marathon, you can kind of get away with stuffing your fueling up, or maybe wearing a shoe that wasn't the best for you, and a few other things, maybe like, you know, not carb loading as well, and things like that. But in a marathon, you need to PB, you need a lot of things to go your way. You need a really good day. There's a lot more factors that need to come into play, a lot of more things that need to go right than a half marathon. And you're limited to only a few a year. I mean, a lot of people only do one marathon a year. So the pressure, everything else that comes with it, the training, yeah, stepping up from the half to the full, it's a massive thing, but it's also a massive achievement, and it feels twice as good when you finish a marathon than you do a half marathon. But that's going to conclude all the questions, guys. I hope you enjoyed this little update, this injury update, and the questions. I'm going to be back to regular programming on the weekly uploads again. Sorry I missed last week, but if you've enjoyed this video, guys, make sure you like it, you subscribe to the channel. Let's try to get to 10,000 by the end of the year. That is the goal. But thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.